In terms of video moving into the cloud, I think that what you've started to see, especially in the North American market, is you have very complex dynamics between the national feeds, the affiliate models, and very complex rules both about the content and about the advertising or monetization. And doing that work in the cloud, doing that work embedded in the distribution network, how the IP content is reaching our tablets, is reaching our smartphones, and is reaching those connected devices that we have in our living room, is required in order to move those business models and those advertising agreements into the 21st century. Well, first of all, the cloud provides distribution. Obviously, as consumers move to multi-screen devices, whether or not we like to call it the cloud, that content is going from a traditional broadcast network into an IP network and therefore into the cloud. And the way that things have been done historically is very, very hierarchical and has a very clear chain of command. And early implementations of multi-screen workflows couldn't adhere to the complexity of that hierarchical chain. And what you've started to see is that advertising solutions from an ad insertion capability, from an ad routing capability, and an ad decisioning capability have moved into the cloud so that those business models can be maintained, so that the revenue sharing agreements between the different parties, from the local affiliate to the national broadcaster to the cable distributor, can be kept, and that enables consumers to get the content that they want on every screen. I think the demand driver is that consumers, especially millennials, like to see their content whenever they want, wherever they want, on any device. And the rights restrictions have often lagged behind the technology capabilities. And when I say technology capabilities, I mean the simple technology capabilities of internet bandwidth to any device, of adaptive bitrate encoding and transcoding. That means no matter what network I'm on, I can see an appropriate level of quality. And what we've started to see in the last couple of years, especially with the NBC Sochi Olympics, was that the business models have caught up with the technology and the demand. And really it is that end user demand that sets the stage for how do I get content to this device? How do I make sure that I'm not cannibalizing my service, my existing pay TV service, my existing subscription service? And how do I ensure that I can get additive revenue from these customers that are viewing on their tablets instead of their TVs? I think that the feat that was accomplished, I've mentioned the NBC Sochi Olympics, the feat that was accomplished with quite a large number of providers, including iStream Planet, including Media, Windows, Azure Media Services, including Adobe at the client side, and Akamai in the middle on the distribution side, was really a showcase for the workflows, the competitors, and how they participate in the ecosystem. With this example, I think that Adobe created the concept of ad routing, separate from ad decisioning. And that, as I spoke about the hierarchy of business relationships, I think that really set the stage for that. There is a debate in the industry still about server-side advertising or client-side advertising. And there are benefits to both and there are costs to both. And it may depend on the type of content, it may depend on the business relationships, and it impacts the complexity of that. And I don't see the whole world going to one side or the other. I think that both of those will be relevant workflows in the future. TV everywhere is probably an overused term. We tend to be very concrete in terms of the business models and the technologies, ranging from an over-the-top service generally coming from a non-incumbent video provider, coming on an unmanaged network. We talk about TV everywhere as generally being the broadcasters' direct-to-consumers relationships that authenticate with the pay TV subscription, and that tends to be a North American phenomenon, although you're seeing the early seeds of that happening in Europe. And then finally, the multi-screen services we speak about as being those pay TV distributor, cable, satellite, IPTV distributor services. And so all of those three services and types of services are really in a precarious balance and giving dynamics to the market and to the end consumer that haven't existed before. Well, I think one of the key themes of the show is around virtualized encoding, software-defined networks, software-defined video that takes workflows that would require anywhere from 15 days up to 2 months to provision equipment and launch a new service, down to software-defined workflows that can be turnkey, can go into an existing billing relationship, and can enable a lot more agility on the behalf of broadcasters. And nearly every vendor at the show has some form of virtualized or software-defined capability, and some are at very early stages, and some have been proven in deployments. So I think in terms of monetization, it's that agility, it's that ability to launch new services quickly and provision them effectively throughout their life cycle that's really key to the monetization for broadcasters.